y'all see the PowerPoint? Can you see the PowerPoint?
No, the PowerPoint's not on, Diane.
All right, hold on. Here we go. Got it. As usual. All right, well, I'm not sure how to do this, and Tia is off today, so.
The bottom center of your screen, you should see like a green button that says share screen. And then it's
yeah.
Windows you might have.
Okay, maybe that's where it is. Okay.
There you go.
Yoo-hoo!
Yee!
All right. Now what are you saying?
A bunch of slides.
That's what I thought. It's not doing what it should, unfortunately.
Click on one of the slides and we'll see.
Just click on the flag.
Yeah.
I tried. Sorry. All right.
Yang, help her, Yang, give her a quick tutor.
So Steve, past President Steve Scherer is here today to lead us in the pledge.
Indeed. And as Memorial Day approaches, we certainly want to salute all those veterans who are part of our club and whose families have veterans who have been part of their families as well. And so would you please join me in repeating the Pledge of Allegiance and begin by placing your hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Very well done. We have new member, Yang Shen, with the thought of the day.
Hi, everyone. My thought of the day is adapt to the change. I just came back from a trip to Boston, and during the trip, I visited a friend at Harvard, and she told me that right now, very few positions are available in academia for humanities. And recently, I also met another friend. He will go to Georgia Tech for assistant professorship. But unfortunately, Georgia State is may cancel the tenureship in the universities. And this week, one of my friends is visiting Pepperdine from Princeton for an academic job. And she realized that even she has a PhD from Princeton in mathematics, it's really difficult for her to find an academic job in the market. And one thing I wanna share with everyone is the whole academic job market has been dramatically changed, and for people who within or outside the academia, I think the key takeaway is we all need to adapt to the change, and the last generation's success or endeavor in one field might not be replicated in this generation, and everything is changing even faster than before. Is that interesting or
Very,
boring?
thank you.
Very interesting.
Yes, thank you. Okay, did you guys know that today is National Wine Day?
No, but I'll go and get a glass of wine if that's the case.
Well, I would have given you all a little bottle if we'd met in person, but since we're not meeting in person, I have to skip this event today for all of you. But the reason this is so important is if you look at the birthday celebrations, look whose birthday is today. So they're celebrating my birthday on National Wine Day. I think that is so appropriate.
Now, how much are you finding yourself? $250?
Just 100.
Just 100. I got the 100 hit. But speaking of fines, as long as we're on the subject, everyone here who had a birthday will be fined appropriately. But we're also going to do a couple more. Past President Ron, would you like to tell us why you're being fined?
Muted, Ron.
You're muted, Ron.
Last Friday, we greeted our grandson, Miles, who weighed in at 8 pounds, 11 and a half ounces. Big boy, and so I'm very pleased to pay that fine. I would pay another fine if get another grandchild.
So how much should we fine him?
Well, you tell me. You're the president.
Ron, why don't you volunteer an amount above 100?
Above 100.
But we're trying to raise the kitty so that Terry doesn't say we don't have money. So that would be something.
Well, I was going to suggest 99 miles from LA. I don't know if you ever heard that song, but Miles is his name. So maybe 99 plus a few.
We'll round it up, Ron. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Also, current President Chris Gaynor is not with us today because he's at a destination wedding.
Oh my God.
And so we're going to fine him also $100 for his destination wedding. And last but not least, and I'm sure I might get oh, you're kidding me, from one of you or two of you on this call, but I'm going to fine the board of directors each $50, 25 for being on the board, and 25 to those that are not in Australia for this conference supporting the incoming president, Steve Day. So $50. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, moving on. Announcement. So next week, we will be back at Hillel with past district Governor Cosette Bagari speaking about human trafficking. She's always a great speaker and a good friend of the club. We will be at, as far as I understand, so Terry, correct me if this is wrong, but I think we are going to be meeting 4 Thursdays in a row in June, all at Hillel. And the 4th Thursday, which normally is on Zoom, will not be on Zoom. We're going to meet to celebrate Chris's year and let him give his swan song, as Ron called it. We are dark on the 29th. And July 6th, for the start of Steve's year, we will be back at Hillel. And the invitations to the demotion party, I hope to God, will go out today. I'm trying. So our speaker today, Jen Levy, will get back to Jen in just a few moments. I want to wish everyone, a happy Memorial Day and suggest that you all say a prayer of thanks to those who have stood up for this country and defended it and lost their lives in doing so. That's the whole purpose behind Memorial Day. Also, last night, I went to University High School to present 2 scholarships to graduating seniors that were approved by the school and funded $1,000 each by the Westwood Village Rotary. It is quite a fun experience. It's their awards night. It's not their graduation night. And it's really very festive and a lot of fun. And they're very thankful to the Westwood Village Rotary. So I think that if you haven't done this presentation, you should consider doing it next year. I think it's well worth it. All right. Does anybody have any discussion or anything they want to talk about?
Well, Diane, let's let our guest Holly introduce herself, or either Ron can
Please,
introduce
you're
her.
absolutely right. I totally forgot.
You have to unmute yourself, Holly.
So what kinds of things do people talk about when they're introducing themselves?
Just tell us who you are and what you do or something like that. You've got about 30 seconds, so it's not a big deal.
Great. All right. Well, I'm Holly Gelberg. I live in Rancho Park, and so what I do, I don't know, this is always more complicated than I want it to be, but I'm an industrial and organizational psychologist. And then I've kind of pivoted in my career, and now I'm a registered dietitian. I have my own private practice. I do private practice nutritional counseling. And I've been interested in joining a service organization for a long time. Ever since back in high school, I got 2 scholarships, college scholarships, one from the Lions Club, one from the Elks Club. So I know it's a different organizations. But so it's always been, I've always kept it in the back of my mind when I got to a point where I had more free time. So, and when I looked around to see what was available, the Rotary Club, which of course I've known about for a long time, but just seemed like the most robust. There's the most chapters, and I thought, let me give it a try and see what you're all about. So that's why I'm here today, and I'm interested in, coming in person, because Zoom has its limitations, but I'm happy to be here today. But I'll look forward to coming to Hillel and being able to meet you in person as well.
Great. We look forward to having you there.
Yes, thank you and welcome. Sarah?
Holly,
Oh.
me and you should network afterward, because I own a gym in Brentwood and I'm looking for nutritionists to help my clients.
Got it.
Okay?
Okay.
Just point of reference.
Okay, terrific. Thank you.
Don't find me, Diane, because
I should.
why?
I'm thinking.
I just, you know what? It's not, I heard the mission at the district conference. How can my profession help Rotary? That's why I'm mentioned it. Okay.
It's okay. If you want to network, go for it.
Okay.
We have a little time here, so you're okay.
Okay.
All right. Anyone else have anything they want to talk about before I introduce Jen? No? All is good in the world? Sarah, do you want to tell us what you're going to do this summer?
Oh, sure. Hi, my name is Sarah. I am the upcoming president for Rotaract at UCLA, and I'm really excited to work with everyone at Westwood Village Rotary Club. This summer, though, is not a vacation quite yet. I have to study for the MCAT and also have a summer class going on. So I think during this summer, Rotaract here at UCLA is going to work hard towards advocating for themselves and flyering during the new student orientation days, but I don't think we'll be having any volunteer events since a good portion of volunteers are going home. So that's the update for the summer, both myself and for the club.
Well, congratulations, and we look forward to working with you next year. Okay, Jen Levy works with City Green Farms. It's an educational nonprofit where produce is grown in a refurbished shipping container turned into a hydroponic farm. This nonprofit is on the VA campus by the golf course, right on the other side of the offices of the golf course. And they are partnering with the West Los Angeles VA Association to oversee the education and planting of a VA garden on site by and for the veterans. Jen describes herself as an educator and environmentalist turned farmer, explorer, and water conservationist. She and I have been over to view this shipping container, and it's really quite fascinating. So if you are on the VA campus, you should make an effort to go introduce yourself to Jen and to see this operation in practice. So Jen, let me share my screen with you.
Great.
Okay, you should be set to go.
Okay, perfect. All right, let me share mine. Thank you so much, first off, for having me and for allowing me to present to you. As Diane mentioned, I am the co-founder and executive director and farm guru at City Greens Community Farm, and we're a local hydroponic educational farm. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the work we're doing and then leave time for questions for sure. So we are It's been a little bit of a journey for us, but we are working to promote sustainability, environmental stewardship, and population health through the platform of an educational urban farm. And really the goals are to promote, provide access to local food, promote food security and justice. And we were founded in January 2020. So obviously things globally changed a little bit right after we started, but our mission has always been and continues to be to cultivate greater health and well-being, growing local food with hands-on community involvement. Really, the goal is, again, to create community around food and what that looks like, especially growing food in a sustainable way. One of the ways, sorry, okay. Due to the pandemic and kind of everything that happened right after we launched in 2020, we started our Grow Local initiative, which really was a way to grow food in a time where people weren't having access to fresh produce. And so we did that through not our shipping container farm, but we had 15 hydroponic tower farms utilizing a vacant commercial space in Beverly Hills. And basically from 2021 up to today, we're continuing to donate food. We grew over 250 pounds of produce to different organizations. And while 250 doesn't necessarily sound like a lot of produce if you're growing pumpkins or squash or heavy things, we were growing lettuce and herbs. So 250 pounds of lettuce and herbs is a significant amount of produce. And our three main partners for food donation during that time were SOVA, the New Directions for Veterans facility, and the Menorah House, which is a subsidized living facility within Beverly Hills. And we are very pleased now that I've met Diane and Tia that we were able to donate 2 weeks ago to the Salvation Army Transitional Village. And hopefully now that we're on the VA campus, we'll have more partners that we can give fresh produce to. Working with the Bandini Foundation and Bruce, we're really hoping to expand not only what City Greens is doing, but really the community garden opportunities at the VA. There's always been a little bit of a community garden right next to the golf course, but there's been no one to kind of oversee it on the day-to-day basis. And now that my hydroponic farm is parked there, I will be able to do that. And so one of the goals for veterans and also just community members is to have access to garden plots. We'll provide seedlings and some soil, garden and farming education. And our big goal as we're getting going is to establish a plant nursery over at the garden. And that's not only a way to get the community involved more and get the people who are coming to the golf course involved, but also to work with veterans and that community, both through Bandini Foundation and the Heroes Golf Course, for job training, for hands-on involvement with the community, and to kind of let them take over eventually the plant nursery that we hope to establish. So we don't have it yet. We do have some seedlings and other things for sale on a small scale, but the goal over the next year is to expand the community garden and really work on job training and participation with the VA community. Just to give you a little background about our shipping container, here's one picture of it. And it essentially has 3 movable walls of produce. Each wall holds about 1,400 plants. And so in this space alone, there's room for almost 4,000 plants. This doesn't really exist here in Los Angeles yet. We're hoping to be the first of many containers like this, where we can really show people that you can grow a lot of food using very little resources environmentally. So it uses about 90% less water and 95% less land than traditional growing. And the container between the grow walls and the germination has room for almost 8,000 plants. Our model not only really reduces travel distances and where your food is coming from, reducing food waste, fewer emissions, all of those amazing things, but it also allows us to donate a lot more food right away. So we can kind of plan backwards and know what people are looking for. So if the New Directions Kitchen says, next month, we're going to be doing an entire Italian theme. Can you grow us, 10 pounds of basil every month? We'll be able to. The turnaround time for these plants is about 3 times as fast as traditional growing. And so it's brand new. It's super exciting to be on that campus and to really have the opportunity to teach people about ways to grow food sustainably. and not only grow food sustainably, but really have access to hyper local fresh produce. Greens specifically lose their nutrients once you harvest them. So our model of harvesting and delivering in the same day really will promote all of the health benefits that we should be getting out of our food that unfortunately we're not getting all of the time. Here's another picture. So at the top, you see the grow walls, and at the bottom, you see the germination space. So combining both sections, there's room for, again, almost 8,000 plants. The VHF, it's called the Vertical Hydroponic Farm, which is what we have. It's through a company called Farm Box Foods, which is based in Colorado. And again, it allows you to grow year round in a closed loop system with almost no waste at all. So it's recycling all the water that the plants aren't soaking up. The nutrients live inside the water. And so every time they're getting water, they're kind of soaking up all of those nutrients, again, promoting faster growth. And as you can see in the picture, there's a wall of LED lights in between each wall of plants, and that's providing all of the ultraviolet rays that the plants need to be successful. So it really is the future of farming. And the goal is, again, to have multiple containers over the next handful of years for both some produce sales, but mainly for food donation. In addition to having the container farm, we, as an educator by trade, I love to go into schools and work with schools about hydroponics, farming, local food, all of those things. This picture is one of those hydroponic towers that I was speaking about earlier that we started with. Currently, we have 4 towers at Beverly Hills High School. I've also done some educational programs with Temple Emmanuel and Temple Isaiah, and we're always looking to expand and have partnerships with schools who are looking to either expand their outdoor garden or who are interested in doing work hydroponically. These towers fit perfectly in a classroom, and it's a really amazing way for students to get involved with farming and hydroponics and sustainable growing. And then just so you guys are aware, we're a pretty brand new startup. It's been, over 3 years, but about 2 of those years, we didn't get to do much, unfortunately. And we really started with grassroots friends and family fundraising. We have received a few grants from the Rotary Club in Beverly Hills and from the city of Beverly Hills, really to expand our education within the Beverly Hills School District, and also a handful of local small family foundation grants and some funding. Now that we have been around 3 years, we're able to apply for some federal grants. And so we have a few that we are working on currently. And the goal will be to continue, hopefully, applying for grants and receiving them. And also, once we start selling produce, we'll be able to bring in some revenue from that. I should also let you know that the plant nursery that we're hoping to build over the summer and next year for the VA, any proceeds from those plant sales will go directly back to the VA. So we'll be helping the job training and with the seedlings, City Greens, but all the money from that program will go back to the VA and help them kind of expand on those things. And then really, we also are really hoping to expand our farm to table relationship with local restaurants. We're not big enough to provide, to big chain restaurants and things like that. But we know in Westwood and Brentwood and West Los Angeles, there's a handful of like smaller restaurants that we could probably grow specifically for them. It tastes different. It looks different. It's significantly healthier than any produce they're getting from kind of out of the city, essentially. And we're always looking for connections or introductions to restaurants who might be willing to purchase from a small local farm. As I mentioned before, the benefit of what we're trying to do is really harvesting and delivering within the same day, so that whatever we harvest that morning is at your plate by lunch or by dinner, really ensuring that it's the most nutrient-rich produce you can get. And then lastly, really, what do we need to expand our partnership with the VA Community Garden Project? We have a lot of ideas of what we would like to do. So we're always in need of donations of soil, compost, mulch, garden tools, seeds, containers for seed starting and transplanting, so we can recycle and reuse as much as possible, pallets or wood for beautification of the garden. I don't know if any one of you have been there. I know, Diane, we met there last week, but it's a little bit overgrown and just could use a little love. So the goal is really to make it much more of a community space. And again, build out some things and create other things. And then financially, with our partnership with the VA, to establish a plant nursery. There's a handful of things that we'll need to purchase on a small scale, like a mini greenhouse that we can keep outside. I can start all of the seeds inside the shipping container, but once they're big enough to transplant, then we'll need somewhere outside that kind of keeps them a little protected and a little warmer during our cooler evenings. As we start to grow more food and donate more food, we're always looking for donation partners and then supplies for that. So bags and clamshells and crates, things that just kind of cover our costs so that we're not actually losing money from donating food. And again, same thing at the bottom, money to supplement our per cost plant for food donation. So ideally, I would love to give away all of our food. Unfortunately, we won't make any money that way. So we're really trying to figure out the best way where we can kind of donate as much as possible and then sell what we need to cover our costs and really form these relationships with local restaurants and maybe grocery stores and potentially some farmers markets. So we have a lot of things in the works for this summer, but as I mentioned, the container is brand new. We just started growing in March. And so we're still trying to figure out all the ways we can both sell and donate our food. And then that's it. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here and present about what we're doing and teaching you about City Greens. And I'd love to have an open discussion or kind of answer any questions you guys may have. So thank you.
Jen, thank you. It was very, very well presented. A quick question, the towers at the high schools, what does a tower cost?
Great question. Yeah. A tower costs around $1,100 with the grow lights. And so at the high school, we have them indoors. So you need the grow lights. They're about $700 without the lights. So depending on the school and where it's located, it'll be somewhere between $700 and $1,100. And that comes with the nutrients and seedlings and things for about 6 months. And so the upkeep per year, I would say on a tower is between $250 and $500, depending on which plants you're growing. Some plants can stay in there for 6 to 8 to 10 months. So you wouldn't have to replace those, but it's about give or take $1,000 depending if you have it inside or outside.
And what about a shipping container?
That's closer to 200,000. So a big difference in price. But again, one tower has 20 plants and the shipping container has about 8,000. So definitely different scales. But the goal is really for us to get shipping containers at high schools, at hospitals, at nursing facilities, more at the VA to really keep food as locally grown as possible and as healthy and nutritious as possible. So for our little nonprofit, one container took us a long time to raise the money, but really the goal, if you think about it kind of over time, the ROI is actually pretty significant versus the quality of the food you're able to grow in there.
Jennifer, would you do me a favor? You went pretty fast on those slides, and I'd like to give you a little publicity in what we call our windmill. Could you email Diane or myself information about your organization, City Greens, etc., and would you show it on the slides there so I can?
Yes, I can forward the slideshow ahead for sure.
Okay. Thank you.
Of course, thank you.
Any other questions, Benjamin?
How did you become a farmer?
Great question. I was an educator here in Los Angeles for a long time, but always passionate about the environment. And about 20 years ago, I purchased a home and had a pretty empty backyard. And so one summer, I decided to try to plant some things. I grew up here in Los Angeles, but I did not grow up with a garden. I really didn't even grow up eating fresh vegetables. So we ate frozen vegetables for most of my life. And I started one summer and I planted some arugula and some basil and a couple things, and it grew. And I essentially went back to my head of school and convinced her to build a garden. And she said, okay, if I build a garden, then you have to run it. And I was like, great, I will. So it took a few years, but they built me a school garden. And then I started running it and I wrote a curriculum for that. And the more I was doing it and the more the kind of global environmental issues were changing, water specifically in Los Angeles, that's all I really wanted to do. So I participated in a fellowship program that brought me to Ohio, where I met some hydroponic farmers. And I essentially left LA in 2015 and I moved to Ohio. And I worked on that farm for 2 years, and it was both an aquaponic farm and a 3-acre production farm. So I kind of got to learn everything about farming. They, tractors, big equipment, lots of land. And then I ran an urban farm in Denver for 2 years after that. And that really showed me how much you can grow in a small space in a city. And so then I kind of just started planning my return back to Los Angeles, and how I wanted to do it. Really, education has always been kind of the goal of a farm, not just food production, but to be able to teach about it and really teach ways that are, realistic for kids living in a big city. Like, just because we live in a big city doesn't mean we shouldn't have access to fresh local food, and that there are ways to grow food on a big scale with very little environmental impact. And we just don't know about them yet, or they're not happening all the time. So.
And one other question about farming. We have a box that we had built that we put vegetables, and every time we have great crop, animals take it before we can eat it. So what, I'm sure that's a problem for you as well. What is there a specific protocols that you use that you have found?
Yes. Do you know what animals are eating it? Is it squirrels or is it bigger animals?
That's a darn good question. They never have the balls to do it when I'm in front of them.
I bet they don't. Well, squirrels usually do. Squirrels aren't too shy. Well,
no, squirrels, you're right.
Is, I know it sounds weird, but wolf urine, which they sell at Home Depot and Lowe's and like most stores. And if you put wolf urine around your garden, it scares a lot of animals away. Another option is to cover your box, put some netting or things over it, or build a more permanent kind of structure so that you can get in and out of it easily. The problem with netting is then it's a pain for you to get in as well. But there's some pretty easy kind of ways to build more of a permanent netting structure with like a little bit of a door, or so you're not kind of moving it every time. But wolf urine works really well. Also, so does Irish Spring soap, which is another
wait a second. Irish, we have so much of it. That's what I want to find out.
Okay, so what you can do is a little trick. You don't really want it in your soil, but you could take like a yogurt container or a cottage cheese container, things like that, and put the soap in those things and place them around your garden. And for some reason, like, animals don't like Irish Spring soap. So those are 2 to start with.
Well, you know what? I'll report back to you because
Please do,
a lot of Irish Spring soap.
Yeah, and I will tell you, the wolf urine smells awful. I mean, it's strong. So there's directions on the bottle, but you definitely dilute it. You can put it like a lot of times people have put like a water dilution and then soak a cotton ball in it, and then kind of again put that around their garden. But it's a very intense smell. So
I think Irish Spring soap would be
I would start with that. Yeah.
Start with that. Yes.
Yeah, definitely. Yes.
Thank you very much for that information. I learned something.
Jennifer, what was that first thing you said you bought at Home Depot? What type?
Wolf urine.
Wolf urine.
Wolf urine. Yeah.
And, as in big bad wolf.
Yeah, big bad wolf. I don't know how they collect it. I don't know what that process is, but they do sell it. And so it does keep away kind of everything from small animals to big animals. Like if you live like up in the hills, deers, things like that, where I used it in Denver, we had a lot of deers and raccoons and other things near our farm. And the wolf urine really, really does help. Yes.
Wow. Okay.
I know.
Jennifer, keep your sights high, because I have a brother-in-law who started a nursery in his backyard. He's 90 now, but he has over 800 employees in one of the largest nurseries in Southern California. So, and you know where he gets most of his growth from? He leases space underneath power lines in the city and county. And it's very cheap because it's government land that's not used. And so he leases that and grows his plants there, and he's very successful. So
amazing.
Go for it.
Yeah.
So Tom, can you introduce Jennifer to your brother-in-law?
Yeah, I would love that.
Well, he's not in too good a condition right now, but I'll certainly consider running the people who run the nursery now.
That'd be amazing.
No question. It's all in the family. It's all family owned.
Wonderful.
Good. So Tom, you married right then.
My sister married right.
Hey, Tom, is that Performance Nursery?
Oh, it's Norman's Nursery.
Oh, they own Norman's?
They own Norman's.
No, Susan, one of her biggest suppliers is Norman's.
Yeah. It's Charles Norman.
Yeah, well, that guy
sister's
was good.
Caroline.
The kids aren't as good as the dad. Okay, that's all I'll tell you.
Yeah,
You know that, don't you? Okay, Tom.
I do.
Okay,
right.
any further questions for Jen? Okay, well, you're gonna get an early start to your Memorial Day weekend then. Be safe, have a good time, and we'll see you next Thursday at Hillel.
Holly, I'll look forward to talking to you.
Okay, great.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Happy
Bye.
birthday, Diane. What are you going to
Happy
be
birthday.
doing?
Thank you. That's my secret.
Hey,
Well, don't
Dan,
drink too
I
much
forgot
wine,
to tell
okay?
you, but I'm going to find myself $57 because on May 14th, Margot and I celebrate our 57th wedding anniversary.
It should be $157. Come on.
That's what the number counts. 99, 157.
That's all right. He's got another fine from being on the board, but thank you, Tom, and happy anniversary.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.